Kansas State down 4. Got to go quick. The Wildcats looking for a rally. That's Carter for 3. He's got it. Big shot. Not over yet.
This is 365 Sports, powered by Sikkim365.com.
Hawkins tees one up from 3. Picked up Newton inside. Back and forth it goes. Pinballed around. Hawkins took it. Good. Big time hit.
365 Sports is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
San Diego State looking for the win. Butler, get it in. A rope, hands it to Trammell. 3 seconds, 2 seconds. Trammell drives. He's fouled.
365 Sports is also brought to you by Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, protecting Texans since 1952.
He's got a mismatch with Allen if he wants it. He's got Pack. He's got him. Give it to him.
Barlow keeps it instead.
Look at the ball. Take it away
By the Hurricanes, Poplar.
Have you subscribed to our YouTube channel? Search 365 Sports on YouTube. Brought to you by TFNB, your bank for life.
Kansas State now needs a 3 to tie it. Clock ticks. Noel dribbles. He's looking for someone. Masood got to put it up. And that's it! The Owls of Florida Atlantic!
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
And it's one of the great opening days of any season. It's Major League Baseball's opening day. Aaron Judge didn't take long to hit a home run in his opening at bat for the Yankees. Tonight, the Astros defend their title or begin defense of their title at home against the White Sox. Rangers are supposed to start here very soon against Philadelphia. Although Bryce Harper will not be playing today. He's coming back from an injury. But a lot to get to. Some thoughts about the Final Four and the ratings projections. Kansas State, let's start with this one. Kansas State's Marquise Noel making the announcement last night that after a spectacular year and an unbelievable run in the NCAA tournament, and yes, I'm sure there will be questions about, can he play at the NBA level? He finds a way. It's a different game. We've seen that, but he has made this commitment to enter the NBA draft.
Yeah, he was playing so well. I mean, you at least got to, see where you're going to be and like what people think of you and all that. Yeah, so I'm not surprised, but again, his height is going to be an issue. He is very fast though. So the guys that are his height that have played well in the NBA have been like he is in super, super fast. So, cause you have to get around people cause you're not going through them or you're not going over them. And so it'll be interesting to see. He was a really fun player, for Kansas State, and that was a really great run. And that was Masood actually entered the transfer portal yesterday, and that's kind of what college basketball is now. I'm curious to see what Coach Tang can do in year 2 and how he builds the roster again because Keontae Johnson's gone. We know that, so they're going to have to rebuild some things. But he already did it. I mean, he came in and rebuilt in a year, so we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, that's how they got to where they were this year to begin with, was the transfer portal in so many ways. But, yeah, I mean, this makes sense, even if it doesn't make the most business sense in the long run. But in the short term, yeah, I mean, what else is the guy going to do? Come back for a 6th year? I mean, he's already played 3 years at Little Rock. He played 2 at Kansas State. And so I think with this last and 5th year, he pretty much proved whatever he needed to. I mean, I don't know how you have an encore that surpasses what he did other than getting back to the exact same point that they were, hitting a shot rather than making a pass probably to win the game, sending yourself to the Final Four, and then what? Going even further. I mean, that's the only thing really he could have done to top this season. So, yeah, I mean, they were a couple steps short, no pun intended, and he was a huge part of getting them where they were. So I have all the faith in the world that Jerome Tang, already planned for probably some of these departures and realizes which direction he's going to pivot. They're going to be a hot brand, and he's a popular coach right now. So I think that they'll have no trouble in, luring and getting the support to bring some guys in to replenish the ranks. But, yeah, I mean, He's played 5 years of college basketball. What else are you going to do to show NBA scouts, if that really is your future, what you can do than what you already did up to this point, and especially this year? So good luck to him. I do think the height's going to be an issue. I mean, everybody makes a comparison to Pierre Jackson, and how did Pierre Jackson's NBA career go?
It went not very well.
Couple stints like on basically the G League or the practice roster.
Great nights in the G League where he scored like 50 points, but it was like, oh, well, that was good for him.
Right. So maybe Noel breaks out of that comparison and is able to surpass Pierre in that regard. But that's just, when I hear the Pierre Jackson comparisons, that's where my mind goes, is just compare him along the way. And, Pierre struggled to get the opportunities and stick. He got opportunities, but struggled to stick in the NBA, but has had a great career overseas and whatnot. So regardless, Noel will be playing basketball, I'd imagine, for a long time somewhere, and maybe it's in the NBA, and if that's the case, then great for him.
He is the Deuce Vaughn of Kansas State basketball in a lot of ways. He's the motor that makes them run, although there's others that could do that too for K-State football. Now, here's a story that I saw from Bill Shea, Athletic.com. Final Four TV ratings primer. Women's tournament set for big numbers. Men's likely to drop. This is Douglas Pucci, program insider, an editor, and he was talking about why he thinks the men's ratings will not be very good. And this is similar to what Tim Brando brought up yesterday. And it's a question I have for our great audience as well. But the numbers he thinks will be as low or lower than the last lowest, which was 2018. And that'll be a note here in a second. That's because the conventional wisdom is that TV viewers like Cinderella teams early in the tournament, but want to watch the name brand programs as March Madness winds down. Now, a couple of things here with what he said. He mentioned, yes, Kansas and Kentucky and North Carolina and Duke he even mentioned Michigan and Ohio State as two bigger schools out of the Big Ten. The last lowest rated final championship game was in 2018 between Villanova and Michigan. And yet that quote mentioned Michigan. Now, I'm not arguing that the numbers might be down and people might go yawn or whatever. But if it's low, it's low. But if the 2018 one had Michigan and Villanova in it, the quote mentioned Michigan. And also the Blue Blood. So I'm asking you this. I've always thought that the tournament was exciting and it was different because you had Cinderella. But in the end, most of the time, it is going to be the alphas who are there for the final weekend. This year, one of the most obvious exceptions of that rule.
Yeah, I don't understand. I guess I don't understand because I'm not that kind of sports viewer. If I've committed, I'm not that kind of viewer in anything. You know how many bad sequels of movies I've watched just so I can, get to the end of the story? Look, I started this journey with March Madness a few weeks ago. I'm gonna see what the end is.
Okay, I'm not a big horse racing. Okay, go ahead. I'm not a horse racing fan, but I'm still gonna probably watch the Kentucky Derby, whether there's an elite possible Triple Crown horse or not.
Yeah, but to me, it's funny that you would, want people, but it's that, and I use this term a lot. It's that kind of American Idol phenomenon where you'll watch somebody and they'll vote for them and vote for them and vote for them, but when their album comes out after it's over, they don't buy it. You're like, well, you just invested all these weeks of your life watching this stupid show with this person singing on it. And then when they really, really need you now that they can make generational money wealth-wise by buying their album, you've been like, nah, I just like voting on it. I didn't want to listen to it. It's kind of like that early on with the NCAA tournament. Man, I love that Cinderellas can knock off the big teams. Well, now we've got two Cinderellas playing against each other in the Final Four. Yeah, I don't know. That one doesn't do as much for me. Isn't this what if you're excited about a team like St. Peter's or Princeton or whoever winning or Florida Atlantic, wouldn't you want to see it through the end? It's just weird. I can't explain it. I don't know it because I'm different.
Yeah, what's your question in general?
The question is, do you care if Cinderella is still alive in the Final Four? Does that affect your viewing habits if it's not Kentucky, Kansas, North Carolina, and Duke?
No, I mean, I'm watching the tournament to watch whoever the best team is at the end. I don't need a big brand to attract my eyeballs. I don't mind an indie film every once in a while. I don't need Michael Bay every single time blowing up, 18-wheelers to go, ooh, I can't wait to get back to the theater. Ooh, give me more popcorn. I don't know. Maybe I'm just not simple-minded enough to just be hypnotized by the big logo every single time. I mean, sure, it'll draw my eyeballs sometimes if there's a particular game, like in the non-conference of college football season. You see a couple big brands that are playing, and like, yeah, oh man, I can't wait to see Michigan and Oklahoma play. Like, that's going to be awesome. That's must-see TV. Definitely must-see TV more so than Wake Forest versus, Coastal Carolina or something. But that's non-conference football. This is for the championship. Mm-hmm. This is the title on the line. I understand that Ali versus Frazier is going to get more eyeballs than Gypsy King versus whoever you want to put out there these days, and that's just the nature of it. But as far as me, no, I don't. Big brands don't tell me what I'm going to enjoy watching or what I'm not going to enjoy watching. So I'll watch it, and if it's like any other game, if it's entertaining, then I'll keep watching it. If it's not, then we'll see how it goes. But yeah, I mean, I definitely want to see the journey the rest of the way through. I'm not maybe as pumped about it as I would be if it were North Carolina versus Texas or something like that. But I'm still interested in it. But I understand that there are more casual fans that. And I'm not saying that I'm a diehard college basketball fan. I'm a casual college basketball fan, if anything. But I understand that, like, America-wise, everybody turns up for the Super Bowl regardless of who's playing. I know this is not that, but it's pretty close to it, like, I think. And so, yeah, why are we so obsessed with the big name? I guess it's because it draws the big numbers of, dollars and the big numbers of TV viewers, and I get that, but the TV networks aren't going to determine what I have fun watching or not. I think this whole storyline this week has been just fueled by media people, and it's kind of silly. It's like we're almost trying to convince us that it's bad that these teams are here. That's the feeling I get,
like
and I think
football.
that's BS, man. I really think that's trash to think that because School A and School B don't have 60,000 plus current students or 100,000 plus living alumni that they don't belong here. That's the feeling I get. But I'm not buying into that propaganda.
You know who used to be a Cinderella in a lot of ways? And I believe back in the 70s, Duke. Duke was played Kentucky, and I can't remember Kentucky's head coach, but he had big rim glasses. Kentucky beat him up. But Duke was kind of a fun-loving little cute story at the time. Well, so there's always that first time when you make the run, and we may not hear from Florida Atlantic ever again, or whatever. But it's almost like the country club again. We want a country club, we want members, but we want to tell you whether or not you should be a member. And if somebody tries to get in that front door, there's like a turret ready to take them out.
Yeah. And look, like Dusty May's probably going to ride out Florida Atlantic for a little while longer, and then a school with a bigger stadium is probably going to hire him, and good for him. That's how it works. But I do. It is strange that sports is one of the things where upward mobility is actually like possible. Where we can see a team be the Duke in the 70s, where you're like, oh hey, look at this little Duke, and now. Back in the 70s, people were like, oh, look at Duke, they're cute. Now people are like, oh, Duke, I'm sick of them.
They had a good run in the 60s with three teams that made the Final Four, but that has been a decade plus.
Yeah,
it's still a Cinderella story at the time.
Yeah, now they're one of the elites. But yeah, it is part of it is when this stuff happens, when somebody who is not in the country club makes the final, then you do have that whole Caddyshack vibe of it of, no, you can't possibly be good at this because you don't have the same advantages. You're not the same as us. We do this because the ones who are pushing that narrative, the ones, they don't want to be bothered by that.
They don't like the clubs you use. They don't like your bag. Your caddy doesn't wear the right clothing. The ball you use is not elite. It's kind of that. But again, that's just the story and a thought process. And that's from somebody who has been measuring the NCAA Final Four numbers since 2006, and just saying that the numbers could be down. The numbers in 18 were also down, and Paxton mentioned this, because Villanova beat the hell out of Michigan. And so that can also affect you on the numbers when it comes to the numbers overall, the ratings, because people start to click off their TV.
I definitely get if people aren't interested in watching, Florida Atlantic, San Diego State. Like, I understand if that's not appealing to you, guy who lives in Tallahassee, Florida, and watches ACC basketball. Like, I get that, but I think, we'll probably see potentially historically low TV ratings. I mean, I know that's definitely on the potential docket, but just asking me as an individual, that means nothing to me. The TV rating means nothing to me. Like I've said many times before, I'll bring up the college football TV ratings during the season just for a comparison or just to highlight, like, wow, look at that number that Michigan, Ohio State got. And that's really where it stops. I don't sit there and turn around to then use it to, belittle the Pac-12 or go like, can't believe they're playing these two teams or drawing this number, like, shaming them for having less than 1.5 million. It's not that, but there's been this weird reaction this week from a lot of just the media, I guess, that, this is somehow, like, they're already, like, setting us up to be disappointed is what it feels like. You know what I mean? They're already trying to put a sour taste in people's mouths before we even get to the game, rather than just letting the game, be the story. And I don't really enjoy that. It almost makes me want to leave my TV on, even if I'm not going to necessarily watch every second.
Or I'll turn in 5 of mine.
Yeah, make sure that they're all on, even though I don't have the Nielsen box or however they register it these days. But in my head, I'll feel like I'm making a difference. So, I don't think you want to see this every year. Like, I don't think you want to see it every year where it's necessarily an FAU or a San Diego State that's ruining the party. You do need to have blue bloods. And they do bring audiences, and that does matter in the grand scheme of things. But I think in this particular case, like, let's just enjoy this. Let's enjoy the fact that potentially history is being made. And look, if Miami wins on the other side, that'll be historic in some ways. But do most average people even realize Miami basketball and the history there? Like, Miami's a big brand to people. If you watch basketball, UConn's a big brand. So let's not act like the entire group is just a bunch of not,
like
don't have anything.
Basketball hobos coming into the arena.
Exactly. Yeah. It's not like a whole crew of people who are, sneaking their way in. There's still a couple of brand names in there, so let's see how it plays out these Final Four games.
Dennis Haiti follows TV ratings. He's pretty good at it. In fact, funny that you guys mentioned horse racing. It was nearly 50 years ago that 52% of TVs tuned in to watch Secretariat win the 1973 Belmont and break the huge drought for the Triple Crown, or about 54 million viewers. And I do remember back then I was in Japan and got up and listened to the broadcast on the Far East Network because I was so thrilled that somebody was finally going to possibly win the Triple Crown. And even then we saw some, and then it was a stretch of them. Seattle Slew, and one or two others in the 70s. So here's...
We've had 2 in the last 10.
I'm talking about
I know, but I'm saying we've had 2 in the last 10. 2 Triple Crown winners.
No, there was a drought, though, before second. Then I can't remember. Seattle, was it...
Affirmed.
Spectacular Affirmed. That's who it was, who beat Alidar in 3 incredible races. You're right, Craig. That's great that year.
I thought I was never going to see one. Like, honestly.
You went through a tremendous...
Yeah, I mean, I thought in my life it was just something I was never going to see because obviously it had changed and, there just wasn't that, DNA in the lines anymore. Just had maybe
or the
fizzled.
protection of horses.
Exactly, all that.
Barbaro and the depressing story that turned into.
All that had happened, but like when we got to it, I was like, do I need to go and help protect this horse? Because I just want to see it. Like, what do I need to do so I can see this? I never thought I was going to see a Major League Baseball Triple Crown in my life. And now, Miggy Cabrera did that for me and for all of us, and that's great.
And that's why the clock keeps ticking. Now, yesterday I sent Craig a story from the WWE CEO who appeared on the Sports Business Journal podcast with John Arand and also Andrew Marchand. And Nick Khan, who's really pretty darn good at what he does, said this in the podcast in reference to the Pac-12. This is only his suggestion and opinion, but it's about something, of course, we've talked about dating back to when Texas and Oklahoma bolted for even the SEC. They're in a tough spot, caught off guard by the Big 12. His advice, do a short-term deal, regroup, be careful of an all-streaming deal, and what it does to the relevancy of the school/conference for the Pac-12. This can't just be a money grab. And I think what he means by that is stop worrying about what number you get to. Just get to a place where everybody's comfortable to keep your conference together, make everybody happy, and move on. But there is that thought, and maybe even just from us, I doubt it. My God, 31.7. But that was from Nick Khan and the WWE.
Well, I don't think it's just from us. I mean, every time they're asked.
I'm kidding about
No, but I mean, like, when they talk about the number, like, every time the Big 12 is asked, like, oh, it'll definitely be a better number than the Big 12. Okay, that's fine. I'm glad you won that little measuring contest there. But in the end of it, if the Big 12 has a smaller number and better distribution, isn't that more money coming in?
This is going to be
other
avenues. This is going to be like politics. Everyone's going to build their own story of what they think is better.
But yeah, so like if you have more, if you're a flat number, it's going to be better than the Big 12. So the Big 12's at 31.7 and you're at 36.5 and you beat the Big 12, but most of your deal is streaming and it's not distributed, then doesn't that hurt your ability to make money in other avenues? And if you've given all your rights over to, say, Apple, then you maybe have less opportunity to create some other things outside of that. So, yeah, like maybe the Big 12 made a lesser deal for money and you beat them on the number per year. You're also going to have less teams than they are, so you should maybe get more average per school based on that. But all that being said, like, just trying to get to, that's what I keep hearing that, like, it's definitely going to be better than the Big 12 deal. And I mean, why does it have to be?
It's kind of like a turf war. Here's the line in the sand. And maybe that's also been something because of a lot of the stories written, columnist or whatever, no matter who is writing the stories in college football and athletics.
I mean, guys, it's pretty simple why that is. I mean, the Pac-12 side of folks think that they've been disparaged and ganged up on and blah, blah, blah. And so, yeah, to hear that their conference is crumbling on Twitter, which I don't know why we give that so much power. Like, we act as though it's, SportsCenter anchor live on TV is talking about the demise of the Pac-12, and it's really just Johnny from, across town who's just ribbing you. But, yeah, I mean, that's become supercharged simply because of the Twitter battles. And so, yeah, the Pac-12, I'm sure, if they get a slightly higher number, even if it's $100,000, they're going to be like, see? And then on the other side of things, if it's a little bit under, then the Big 12 folks will say, see. But the thing is about it is it would have to be a significantly lower number to really matter. It doesn't matter if it's $1 million less per team. That means everything stays the exact same way that it is. Nobody's jumping for $1 million. It would have to be a significantly lower number, and that's where the puzzle is right now. That's where everybody's puzzled right now, is what exactly is that number? We were supposed to have something break last Tuesday, or, there was the potential for that. It's been quiet as a church since then, basically. So maybe that's because they're getting close to the end.
Yeah, Jim Williams actually said silence is not a bad thing.
Yeah,
right
maybe that's because they're still in a bit of a rough patch. I don't know. But, we'll see the deal when the deal's presented. And, yeah, there is that little bit of a turf war over, I'm sure, who will have the larger number when all is said and done. Although, that still depends on is the Pac-12 expanding? Are they that's part of the puzzle we still don't know either. But Nick Hahn was good. He's the WWE CEO and formerly a creative artist agency, and he pretty much knows everybody who's anybody in all of sports and entertainment. Very well connected, very high up guy. He's a big part of the selling currently going on, or the potential sale of the WWE. As Vince McMahon's back and has been for a few months now from his, suspension, I guess you could say. And now he's back to, along with Khan, basically sell the company. And they could sell it to any number of folks, although it's a bit of a weird market now because, as he pointed out, you've got layoffs going on at some places that otherwise you would think would be bidders, and some places that maybe you thought would be bidders aren't maybe hitting the numbers that they thought they might hit. And so it's kind of a guessing game as to who they'll eventually be sold off to. But one thing's for sure, they're going to go for a lot of freaking money. I mean, a lot of freaking money the way this has been set up. He's a brilliant businessman. And he said in particular on the Pac-12 that they're in a tough spot, as you mentioned. He talked about, I have a lot of admiration for what the Big 12 did. Assume the SEC, which I had the good fortune of being involved in their business, we knew they would be in great shape. We believed the Big Ten would be in great shape. They are. If you look at what Brett Yormark did with the Big 12, is he looked at the hand that he was dealt, and he went and he did the best that he could with it. He got those deals done quickly. So part of what was attractive for the Pac-12 with Disney was the tonnage. There's a certain amount of tonnage for live events that multi-video programming distributors require. So assume they're not just going to lose the Big Ten football games, but all of those college basketball games as well. How do they go and make up for it? Do more with the Big 12. Very smart thinking by the Big 12. And he'd go on to say that he feels like the Pac-12 got caught off guard, which he as a businessman doesn't really like that, and said he wishes them the best. But when he saw all those deals being made a couple years ago and he saw that alliance form, he's like, this is never going to work. Alliances don't work in situations like this. So he saw that coming from a mile away because there's just too much competition going on between the conferences. And he said getting caught off guard is the worst thing that can happen in business. And he went on to say, basically that complaining is not an answer, that complaining is not a useful negotiating tool, and that he felt like the Pac-12 was complaining a bit too much about the hand that they were dealt. Maybe even without saying it, the fact that they complained about the Big 12, whoever complained, the Big 12 jumped in line. Well, that's not a winning strategy. That's why they've got a deal and you don't right now. So that's kind of what he was pointing out. He does think they're in a rough spot, but he's not in the room. That's just based off his experience, so we will see.
Well, that's good stuff.
There's no
I mean, good stuff, because that's a different set of eyes that we haven't heard, or a brain that we have not heard from. We've heard from a lot of great angles, too.
So, this is something we kind of keep saying. Your Mark's brilliant thing was when he got there and somebody said we got to get a TV deal, and it's like the Pac-12 is up next. And he's like, why are they next?
Yeah.
Because theirs is expiring. Well, so is ours a year later, so there's not like – the TV, nobody at the TV networks went to him and said, hey, whoa.
Yeah,
there's a protocol here.
Yeah, no.
So when he called up, they're like, man, let's do
the
it.
open window.
Let me give you a couple more quotes from here.
All right.
He said, I didn't love that I saw some complaining about it after by the Pac-12. Complaining is not a strategy. You better go and do something about it. We've seen this a little in golf early on with Liv. People are loyal. People are disloyal. I don't like what they're doing. You better come up with a strategy better than that, and I think the PGA has, and they'll try to implement it, but I hope the Pac-12 works out well, but I'm not seeing it at this moment in time. So that's, the PGA could have just sat and cried, but instead they realized, we better do something about it, and that's kind of what he's saying the Pac-12 needs to do, and maybe that's what they're doing. But in terms of their deal, he was just asked his opinion on what they should do in this current landscape. And he knows, because like I said, they're selling off the WWE, Absolutely. And that's going to go to Endeavor or to the Saudi Public Trust Fund or something along those lines for billions of dollars. That's a guarantee here in probably the very near future. But he said on the Pac that he would go short term and make sure you're not just taking the biggest money. You got to make sure you keep attention on the schools. So if there's a streamer that doesn't have a big audience and you go exclusive with them, you got to be careful of that, because coming out of the deal, what's the relevancy of your programs? He loves the streaming world, but on an exclusive basis for one conference or one league, it's still a big leap right now. So if they do it, it's partly for the money. What's the relevancy on that? That's tricky. So that was Nick Khan on the Pac-12.
It'd be great to get Nick on the show, and who knows, maybe we will. That might be pretty hard to do. But I have one final note from Jim Williams on realignment and much more. Texas and Oklahoma do not get a full share the first year in the SEC. I think they do in year number 2, whether it's 25 or 26. Jim Williams sending me that note that it might be a year or two. I didn't know that, but they're still going to be just fine. He also had this one. Rutgers Athletics still owes $40 million to the Big Ten from when they are entering the 21-22 fiscal year, and has accumulated more than $250 million in total debt, including $140 million to construct athletic facilities. They owe money to the Big Ten because I think they borrowed it early as they moved from one conference to the other. Plus, I don't know what their out was. I don't know how much they paid when they left. What was the Rutgers, in the Big East or the ACC?
They were in the Big East.
In the Big East. But there's a note, too, that this is not all just free money when you move to a better conference as far as a TV deal. So there is some of that to take into consideration.
Do you realize that USC and UCLA are going to get paid
immediately?
Yeah, and Rutgers had to wait, Maryland, 6 years.
Nebraska did not get immediately full share.
They just said it's different situations and different brands that are. I don't know if they said brands, but that's basically what it's a different situation bringing in LA schools versus bringing in not necessarily big name brands from the Northeast, but obviously geography that you wanted. So yeah, that's good for the LA schools.
All right, Adam McDonald asking about whether we've been talking about any news involving the Pac-12. And Adam, we just spent the last 10 or 12, 15 minutes discussing it with some of the quotes from Nick Khan. So hopefully you can go back and listen or watch this first segment when it comes up on the YouTube feed. When we come back, You got another thing?
Basically, nothing's changed, but you got some people chiming in on, like Nick Kahn, for example, chiming in on kind of what he thinks and how he views things. That's basically the gist of it. But yeah, it remains a waiting game if just you're looking for a general summary. We're same place basically we were the last few days as far as that goes. Just more insight from people in the business.
On3.com's Pete Nakos will join us. He did a few weeks ago when it comes to NIL with some of the stories he'd been reporting about. A little summary from his side on yesterday's congressional hearings involving NIL. He'll join us. Also, former Baylor and Major League pitcher Jason Jennings on all these new rules in baseball as a pitcher from his perspective, and also about just the glorious day of opening day of Major League Baseball. He'll have an NCAA basketball analyst at 5 and much more today, including Paul's Top 5 near the end of the show. This is 365 Sports.
During Ram Truck Month, shop the greatest selection of new inventory in Central Texas at Allen Samuels. Ram trucks have all the quality for work or play, with impressive towing capabilities, heavy-duty payload capacity, smooth ride, and a luxury feel interior design. If you're looking for a truck that can do it all, come see the possibilities of a Ram truck. And if we don't have exactly what you want in stock, we can help you build the custom car, truck, SUV, or van of your dreams. Shop Allen Samuels, DCJ.com, or come in to see us today at Allen Samuels in Waco.
Do you or your kids get nervous about going to the dentist? Stonewood Dental, Dr. Steve Childress, he can help.
I've spent a career taking care of patients who as children had bad experiences, and now they're adults that hate going to the dentist. If I get a kid at 3 years old and they come every 6 months and it's a happy experience, it's normal for them. Now they have an accident at 6 or 7 or 8 at school. Now they have a broken tooth or a trauma, and they have to come here. They're used to lights, they're used to the water in their mouth, they're used to experience, they already trust us. It's amazing what we can do with that kid without it being a negative thing. But if I see a 6 or 7 or 8 year old that's never been to the dentist, and now they have a trauma or an unfortunate unexpected toothache, it's harder to do that for that kid and it not be somewhat of a negative experience. So bottom line is I try to teach kids and adults and teenagers and everybody the way I'd want my family treated, which is where it's a necessary part of life. You just take care of it. It doesn't have to be that big a deal.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
Baylor Scott & White Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physicians for Baylor Athletics, diagnosing and treating all sports-related injuries, including concussions. These specialists also provide orthopedic services for athletes and non-athletes alike, whether it's knee or shoulder pain, a wrist injury, orthopedic spine care, and even an arthritis and total joint clinic. Trust the doctors Baylor Athletics trust. Baylor Scott & White Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics wants to get you back in the game.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and two-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a Petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
It takes time to reach goals. It's a truth that applies to more than sports. It goes for your financial goals as well. You work hard for your money and you deserve an investment strategy that lines up with your game plan. And Chuck Verno, your Edward Jones financial advisor, can help. If financial investments aren't putting forth the effort you desire, stop by today for a financial review. Chuck Verno, 720 North 64th Street in Waco, 254-732-1161. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lakeshore Drive is premier, elite, life-changing experience where you can change your mind, body, and soul. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness offers over 40 group exercise classes each week, including boot camp, indoor cycling, and more. If you haven't been there in quite some time, you're missing out on the improvements for our members. New flooring in the weight room and locker rooms, new paint and mirrors added in the weight room and group exercise room, with more new machines arriving over the next few months. New free weights, weight machines, TRX
TRX rowing machines, stationary bikes, new treadmills, new elliptical machines on spacious weight room floor. Personal training with Christy London, Randall Corley, and Alex Botch, where you will be encouraged and motivated to grow. There's sauna, whirlpool, tanning bed, and kids club. The amenities are great. 16 tennis courts plus an 1,100-seat stadium court, 8 pickleball courts, youth and adult tennis and pickleball lessons. Visit our website, wacotennis.com, or visit Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lakeshore Drive in Waco.
This is 365 Sports.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
As we said, the opening day of Major League Baseball. And one quick note before we get to Pete Nakos from On3.com. Last night, the Sacramento Kings won and clinched a spot in the NBA playoffs. It snaps the longest postseason drought, 16 years of any U.S. major professional sports team. I asked before we were on the air, who was second longest? The New York Jets have gone 12 years without a playoff spot, and Buffalo, it's been 11 years. But the Sacramento Kings have ended the drought 16 years by winning and clinching a playoff berth last night.
Good for Davion Mitchell.
Yep. Well, maybe not a surprise that you draft a guy like that, and then all of a sudden your fortunes change. He's a winner.
He's not the only reason why, obviously, but yeah, he's definitely part of that culture that's been ingrained there now for a couple years that's led to this for sure. So yeah, good for him.
Pete, thanks for joining us today on 365 Sports. You were watching, monitoring. Were you actually in D.C. or were you monitoring the hearings from afar?
I was monitoring the hearings from afar.
Okay,
watch my laptop.
So my thoughts are: was anything accomplished whatsoever?
No, gosh, no. It was I learned more about what every representative who sat on the committee, what their favorite in-state school was and their mascot than getting any legislation done.
Pete, are they – I kind of came away last night thinking that they are not really equipped to do anything about it. Like even everything they – went over, like they didn't even have a collective CEO there. They don't really seem to care that much about the issue. It kind of was done, feels like this was done almost as a favor to Charlie Baker.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that definitively, but that's the read I got on that as well. So this was the 8th congressional hearing in either the House or Senate that they've had regarding athletes' rights. This time around, like you said, no collective operator, which you kind of would have thought was a no-brainer. And then no current Power 5 football or basketball athlete, which, I mean, it's just concerning. And you kind of roll your eyes a little bit when it's like they try to Trey Burton, who was a great athlete at Florida and stuff, but like he played in 2014, guys. Like he didn't play in the NIL era. Like maybe he had a recruiting inducement for all I know, but I mean, it's not what we're talking about these days. So I don't really understand how. Well, nothing got done yesterday. Nothing, and it's just it's just interesting to see where we're at, and it's hard to believe that any type of legislation or agreement is coming in the next few months.
Pete, how do you view just the way the schools are apparently attacking this? I mean, going to the government, they basically said in so many words, this is their last hope, right, to get it any sort of way that they really want it. This is their life raft, and as implausible as that seems. But if you were advising the schools, let's say, what kind of a different tact maybe would you take, or is this really all they can do at this point to try to keep whatever they can still in the box, even though the box is falling apart?
Yeah, I mean, listen, guys, I think there's a reason why Charlie Baker got tapped to be the NCAA president, right? And it was to serve as a lobbyist on Capitol Hill. It wasn't to come up with a new policy on how college athletics was going to operate. I think a lot of people that I talked to are of the opinion that it would be awesome if the NCAA tried to figure it out before just tossing it over to Congress. And I think that yesterday was probably the best example of why some people don't want to see it go through Capitol Hill. How it all plays out, I'm not sure. It'll be really interesting. I don't know if you guys have heard about it, but there's a case, a court case right now called Johnson versus the NCAA, which will eventually decide on the idea if an athlete is or is not an employee. But we could be years away from that actually being the law of the land, and even if it could make all its way up to the Supreme Court. So it's not like that is going to change things in the next 18 months. But that's one thing to keep an eye on. And then I think that you're seeing the school's opinion kind of play out right now. Like the school presidents and conference commissioners will tell you that they want to see the national standard. But we've yet to really hear from an athlete other than the Florida State softball player yesterday about their actual thoughts on NIL.
You guys started something, and I saw your tweet when SportsCenter was outside the lines piece when they actually had the On3 NIL valuation board. Whose idea was that? I know it's like the recruiting rankings or whatever else, but whose idea was that?
Yeah, I mean, that was all from our founder, Shannon Terry. Obviously, he has a track record at Rivals and 247. And we launched in the summer of 21, right? So, NIL was new, and I think that it was pretty apparent from the get-go that this was really going to shift the college athletics landscape. So it's all him, and it's not exactly something that we just cook up either, right? There's an algorithm to it. There's a lot of data that goes into it, and there's it's not just people saying, oh, this is what we've heard, let's punch this in. No, there's an algorithm. It's based on an athlete's performance, exposure, and influence. And then an athlete has a roster value and a brand value that comes together to form the On3 NIL valuation.
Pete, in your dealings, how many of the collectives are disorganized or predatory, and how many of them are actually humming along and doing what they were intended to do for the most part?
What are we calling disorganized? Are we saying that they offer athletes recruiting inducements, or they don't have their ducks in a row?
I guess that would create a third category, wouldn't it? Let's say recruiting inducements. Let's give it the three categories then. How many does it fall into?
Yeah, I would say that it's tough. Let's say there's roughly 120, give or take, collectives. I tell you that a solid, 65 to 70 are operating with the idea of we need to raise a lot of money and focus on roster retention, and recruits will see that see that we have raised X amount of dollars and paid X amount of athletes, and if they go to that school, then there will be NIL opportunities, and that's how a lot of schools are operating. And then you probably have about 20 to 30 that are playing the inducement game. It's really tough because there's so much crossover, right? It's like the collectives that are trying to raise the money for roster retention are also doing it. It's all big ones, the math man. But I think the other question you have to ask yourself is, there's a lot of people operating collectives who are trying to do it for the good of their school, right? It's not like they are actually predatory towards the athletes.
Pete, taking a look at these Final Four teams, I mean, there's one booster there in South Beach that everybody seems to know by name, and I guess he's laughing pretty good right now, given the women went on a great run up until last weekend. The Cavender twins, of course, a part of a lot of NIL discussion over the last year, but Nigel Pack and others on the basketball team, it wasn't the only way they got to where they are. By no means is this just solely an NIL story, but taking a look at Miami, and I know you looked at others here in the Final Four and how they approach NIL. What were some of the things that maybe stood out to you about the Canes and anything else that you found of interest?
Yeah, so with Miami in particular, right? So I talked to John Ruiz, is one of his top attorneys who oversees NIL, and they signed 4 athletes to deals, and they're all the players that you'd expect. It's Isaiah Wong and Nigel Pack, Jordan Miller, and it's they would not provide details on the amount of money they've spent. They said it's significantly less than football, but at the same time, like, there's a lot more football players signed on a life wallet than basketball, so I'm not really sure how good of an example that is. Just to make that clear. But yeah, I mean, the NIL market at Miami is extremely more developed than it is at San Diego State, Florida Atlantic, and UConn. That's just a reality when you have $1 billion booster in that market. At the same time, at Florida Atlantic, Ross Dellinger from Sports Illustrated reported today, they didn't have a collective really going into March Madness, and they've started one in the last few weeks, and it's raised like $65,000. So I think we're seeing that, like, the product on the floor does equal fundraising dollars.
Pete, the teams that we've seen run this tournament, yes, in the end, you do have UConn, who's won a bunch of national titles. Do you think NIL or the transfer portal gives teams like San Diego State, FAU eventually, or Creighton, whoever, a chance to maybe be more successful than in the past?
Totally. I think that right in years past, and this is just thinking like big picture, but like if an athlete was at a top 25 school, they really didn't have a reason to leave, right? Because it was so much more difficult. Now, if you're a high 4-star recruit and you don't get playing time that you want coming out of that first year, you can just go leave and go play for a really good school probably and really boost those minutes. And then, I mean, if an athlete's listening to this, entering the transfer portal does not equal NIL cash, okay? There's only so many roster spots to fill. But there is that thought that, hey, if you enter the portal, there is a chance that you might receive this lucrative offer to go play. And obviously that's against the NCAA guidelines, but we've only really seen that the NCAA come down on anything like that once, and it wasn't even about NIL. So there's a lot of collectives and coaching staffs operating with, like, come and get me. Like, nothing's slowing me down right now. Why am I going to fall behind if the NCAA is not going to do anything? And obviously Congress isn't ready to enact a national standard.
Pete, thanks for your time. Did you at any time yesterday while watching and monitoring what was going on, did you nod off? Did you, come on, admit it, did you ever just kind of like find yourself nodding off?
I didn't nod off, but I had to laugh quite a few times. There was quite a few moments where it was like, this is really going on right now. My favorite line was someone said portal, and I was like, oh man, like, we are really just off the rails at this point.
Pete, I went through and looked at the committee and marked off districts that I don't want to move to in the next few years.
Because of what? The questions or lack of
because of who represents it. So
yeah,
I'm like, well, look, I'm not moving to Buddy Carter's district. I'll tell you that right now. That was...
Yeah, I'm surprised somebody didn't come in with a full jogging suit, jogging suit, and from James Franklin so whoever was representing the area with Penn State did not have a Penn State Nittany Lions warm-up suit. It still amazes me, though, that you sit there and there was a lot of build-up for this, and a lot of people probably knew nothing would happen, but that no NIL agents or representatives or collectives were there. And it's like, who would not have at least stopped for a second and said, hey, by the way, why don't we have somebody that knows what they're doing and give us their perspective?
Yeah.
Incredible.
Did you guys Did you guys see the representative from Georgia trot out in his red jacket?
Yes.
That's Buddy Carter. Yeah, that's.
Yeah, I'm surprised he didn't have Uga in a cage, like in a little dog carrier right behind him or something. Pete, you're doing a great job, buddy. Thank you very much. Appreciate your time.
Appreciate it. Have a great day.
Pete has there's an article on 3, and of course everybody was there, either monitoring or whatever else. Max Olson, who normally would join us at 4 today, I think it's going to be tomorrow, because he was at home with one of his children, was sick, just ill. So he should be with us. Hopefully his son is doing, or child is doing much better. All right, so baseball has begun.
Yeah, Rafael Devers just got called out on what might be the first automatic strikeout.
For stepping out?
Yeah. I mean, I'm watching it. I don't know if he stepped out or if he called time, because it didn't look like he stepped out.
Do you know that Jake DeGrom has started like a handful of opening days and has been basically unhittable? He is already down 4-0. The Phillies have already gotten straight to him. That'll put panic in the streets of Rangers fandom, including I'm part of that. I didn't expect him to be dominant, but Philly just came up with 2 in the second, gave up a home run, 2-run homer, a triple, and then a wild pitch, and Philadelphia leading 4-0 top of the third against the Rangers.
Well, I mean, he's recorded 7 outs and 5 of them are strikeouts, so that's what you're getting from Jacob deGrom. I'll ask you this, though, Smokey. We both followed the Rangers for a tremendously long time. The only free agent pitcher, the other ones were trades that worked out for them, in my opinion, was Nolan Ryan. Outside of that, pitching and free agency.
Well, he did for a half of a season, or at least for the post. Cliff Lee.
That was a trade.
That's a trade.
You Darvish maybe early on. That was a big free agent. So
Darvish was good for them.
Yeah,
he was. He was really good for them. And that was like a different type of free agency. In fact, they had to not only pay him, they had to pay his club, right?
Like one of the 3 greatest pitchers of all time worked out for you at the end of his career because it brought attention to you. And a top 5 player ever to come over from Japan, maybe you, Darvish?
Top 5 player in Rangers history?
No, to of the players that thought Ichiro, Ohtani, Matsui, Nomo, him. I'm sure that I'm leaving somebody else out there, but yeah, I mean, he's top of the players who've come over from Japan. He's in the upper echelon, you Darvish.
No, he's in that. Okay, so pitchers, Ryan, I'm naming this is just a random list, nolanwritten.com. Ryan, Palmeiro's obviously not a pitcher. Number 3 would be Adrian Beltre, who's a Hall of Famer. Number 4, Shin-Soo Choo, outfielder, who played a long time, got a ridiculous. Will Clark, not a pitcher. Alex Rodriguez, not a pitcher. Colby Lewis from Japan, kind of an unsung guy who was an innings eater.
And he was part of those World Series runs.
He was pretty good, 2010 to 16. John Wetland.
That one
came in from New York. He was a free agent.
Yeah.
He was during that time when that first run they had when they started to win division titles but couldn't beat the Yankees and nobody else could
lost
either.
the team he came from because they had the guy that ran him out.
Joe Nathan. And then also the last one they have is Vladimir Guerrero, the hitting machine. But, you're right that Nolan Ryan, who just happened to be as good a pitcher who's ever probably played in the game for compiling and also his dynamics of value to a franchise. All right, when we come back, Jason Jennings around the corner. A couple of notes we'll get to, including baseball. Let's do this before we come back with Jason Jennings. We'll take a break, come back with this. The minor league baseball, first time ever, have a collective bargaining agreement with Major League Baseball. We'll go over the details of what they got. Good for them. I sent it to a parent of a son who has a son in minor league baseball. He was thrilled to death, and he should be. And his son will be thrilled to death. This is 365 Sports.
The future's bright. The time is now. College is what you make it. It's a late-night pizza run and all-nighters coding a new project. It's having big dreams and making them a reality. It's a professor who knows your name and your story. It's preparation for your future, your calling, your life. And at Baylor, it's even more. Baylor, where lights shine bright.
Stepping into a new pair of boots is great, but stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can also add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. There are more than 150 occupational specialties to help them find the best fit for their future. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Pizza, burgers, and Bears football. There's no place around Waco that serves them all other than Bubba's 33. Come show your green and gold and enjoy some of Waco's best food and beverages while watching your favorite team, the Bears. When real Bears fans get hungry, Bubba's 33 is the #1 spot for ice-cold drinks, hand-stretched, stone-baked pizzas, and bacon-infused burgers. Join us for indoor or patio dining. Bubba's 33, Waco's restaurant and proud supporter of Baylor Bears football. Sick 'em, Bears.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small family business right here in Central Texas, and our goal is to bring down the cost of healthcare while maintaining high quality. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important, and unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. That's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through the difficult time. We offer premium MRIs just like a hospital with state-of-the-art technology and specialists, but you'll pay less. Sometimes thousands of dollars less, whether you're using insurance or not. At Ideal MRI, we accept most insurance and there are no hidden costs, even offering financing if that's needed. Everything included in the price, and you'll not get something as a surprise in the mail later on. If you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. They'll know. You can schedule an appointment safely from home online in minutes at idealmri.com or give us a call, 833-IDEAL-MRI, idealmri.com.
There are 26 letters in the alphabet, over 600,000 words in the dictionary, and just 3 of them said together can change everything. Let's order pizza. Those 3 words lead to dough made from scratch and 3 fresh signature cheeses that blanket golden crust in a heavenly melt on Marco's Pizza that'll blow your mind. So visit marcos.com to order and stop by Marco's Pizza in Belmead, China Spring, Woodway, and in Robinson. Marco's. Pizza lovers get it.
This is 365 Sports. Text us at 254-339-1122. The text line is sponsored by Riverbend Liquor and Wine, with the most extensive variety of craft beer in Waco. A hidden gem on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street.
Jim Williams, who is one of our analysts, and he feeds information because he's got a lot of insight and a lot of connections in the media business and network business. He put this up just a few minutes ago, and I did not realize this, and maybe I've missed something here. Texas and Oklahoma expected to receive a share of distribution from the ESPN deal in 2024, but the amount is uncertain, talking about the SEC. They are unlikely to receive the full amount, as other SEC programs, a telling SI, should expect to, of course, eventually get around $70 million, the huge number that they're getting. But they may, according to Jim, and Jim kind of knows his stuff, that I did not realize that they were not getting immediately full share. USC, UCLA will, and then Rutgers, as you mentioned. I think even Nebraska had to wait a little bit among some others. And Nebraska, when they left the Big 12, pretty good. They were in pretty good shape at that time.
Yeah,
So I did not know that, and I don't know if that means a 3/4 or a half or what.
But they're also coming in the middle of a TV deal,
Yeah,
right?
no.
So they have to wait for those escalators.
And they're about to not get that revenue, but make up for it plenty without the Longhorn Network, which is no longer going to be a part of it once they walk out the door and join the SEC. Now, last night, baseball. They have come up with but I guess I don't know if it's signed yet, the first ever collective bargaining agreement for minor league players. Details on the pay increases. For example, Complex League goes from $4,800 per year to $19,800. That's 4 times. Let's get to AAA. AA, which is really a lot where the talent is, $13,800 a year salary to $30,000 plus. AAA from $17,500 salary to $35,800, double it. There's already the paid pretty much year-round. There is a break during the winter. They're getting much more stipend, I think, for where they live, living expenses, and a lot of this. This is a great deal. Minor League Baseball treatment or Major League Baseball's how they've taken care or lack of taking care of minor leaguers has been well documented. Good for them in the minor league system for getting a lot more money pretty darn soon. The deal is 5 years long for all levels of minor league baseball.
It also never made sense to me because these are the guys that you're like, this is the future you're trying to grow, right? Don't you want them to be as
No, you would want to why would you know what? Yes.
So it's not even about and look, that's like $4,800 a year to, in a complex league is, that's ridiculous. That's low, that's low for anything. And I know that's only part of the year, but still, these guys are going to have to get other jobs a lot of the time, but they have to get jobs that know that all right, see ya, February 1st, you're gone. See you, at best on after Labor Day. So they can't really do that if they're trying to make your baseball team. So you need to at least make their lives a little bit easier so that you can, get the most out of your development.
No, treat those who are your future well. And it's really kind of been interesting. Major League Baseball and the owners and players, they don't get along at all. But that was pretty cool to see what the minor league players now are about to start to get. And they had some things change when it comes to living conditions, et cetera, and maybe the stipend or whatever that might be, including late last year or late last season. When we come back, he played baseball at Baylor. Jason Jennings also pitched for a long time in Major League Baseball. His thoughts about just the tradition of opening day and the pitch count or the pitch clock or all of what is going on in Major League Baseball. Jason Jennings joins us next on 365 Sports. If you like to smoke cigars, there's a place in Waco that I recommend because I go there. In fact, I've been there like 2 or 3 times in the last, I'd say, month, including last weekend. Don Humidor and Coffee Beans in the Town West Shopping Center, which is just off of what is the Valley Mills and Richland Drive. Richland Drive off of Valley Mills goes straight to the Richland Mall. It is Carol Ashley and Cheyenne. They run it. They have a 48-foot walk-in humidor. They have fantastic cigar brands. I bring up the obvious of Padron and Cohiba, etc. But a couple of ones I like, and they are not not known. They're somewhat very much known. But Oliva, and also I really like La Fontana. It's a very smooth cigar. Their Churchill length cigars are a little bit more, I guess, not as thick as the others, but I really like the way, and they even have, as far as that is concerned, the torpedo end as well, but a very light, very nice, comfortable smoke, if that's what you like. They have CBD products, including Vita Dreams, that you take one, you learn kind of what you need, and next thing you know, instead of tossing and turning at night and you just struggle to get to sleep, too much is on your mind or not anything on your mind, but you don't fall asleep well enough or quick enough, it helps you out with that. And fresh coffee beans. Don Humidor and Coffee Beans, tell them Smokey sent you, in the Town West Shopping Center off Valley Mills and Richland Drive in Waco.
Cars priced right both day and night. At Richard Car in Texas. Trucks built for you, red, white, and blue. At Richard Car in Texas. Cars that zoom with lots of room. At Richard Car in Texas. Count on us, a dealer to trust. At Richard rent your car in Waco, Texas.
Automatic Chef Canteen is a full-service micro-market vending and office coffee provider with state-of-the-art vending equipment, a wide variety of products, and offering custom-fitted micro-market vending office coffee solutions for your employee break room. You want a full break room solution and a workplace oasis? Well, Automatic Chef Canteen, locally owned and operated for over 50 years in Central Texas, also includes in-house mechanics on call 24/7 for fast, reliable service and maintenance. Automatic Chef Canteen, 6900 Imperial Drive in Waco, or online at automaticchefcanteen.com.
After my first car accident, I feared the biggest damage would be to my wallet. I expected a mountain of bills and a long, drawn-out process. But my Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent was there when I needed her and helped me get back on my feet and in my car in no time. Instead of a hassle, I got reassurance and a quick recovery.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Waco Custom Marketplace is your hometown grocery store with a full-service butcher shop and bakery. Hi, this is David Smoak. The butcher shop can take your customized orders for seafood, pork, and poultry, and custom cut your favorite steaks from bacon wrap fillets to T-bone to bone-in ribeyes, cut specifically the way you want. They have Norwegian salmon fillets, catfish fillets, sliced ham or turkey and lunch meat, variety of cheese available, and several options of sausage links, fresh chicken breast or whole chickens, sliced bacon, pork chops, ground beef, marinated beef, and chicken fajitas, and always large briskets available, plus fresh vegetables. So the great product, customer service, and family tradition of the Bauer family continues at Waco Custom Marketplace, open Monday through Saturday. A full-service butcher shop and bakery available. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
In the market for a quality metal building? Since 1943, Pioneer Steel and Pipe has helped Central Texas residential and commercial customers with metal building design, panel options, building components, and trim options. Pioneer Steel and Pipe's residential line is energy efficient, offers low maintenance, reduces insurance payments, is impact resistant, and carries up to a 45-year limited warranty. In addition, they can also help you find a metal building contractor for your project. Pioneer Steel and Pipe with locations in Waco and Bryan and at pioneerboys.com.
TFNB Your Bank for Life is the official local bank of Baylor Athletics. Find out why more Central Texas are making TFNB their bank for life. Sign up for our Edge checking and savings accounts to earn interest or cash back. With 5 convenient locations and an award-winning mobile app, banking has never been easier. TFNB Your Bank for Life. Member FDIC.
This is 365 Sports, powered by Sikkim365.com.
The 4 o'clock hour is sponsored by Boozer's Jewelers, the wedding ring store, specializing in custom jewelry and repair, all in-house.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
Jason Jennings, former Baylor pitcher, and also spent time in Major League Baseball for a decade with Colorado, with the Astros, and also with the Rangers. NL Rookie of the Year in 2002. We've had Jason on before, back when Mitch Thompson was hired. Jason's thoughts about him, and as Baylor will start to rebuild the baseball program, and Mitch Thompson will. But Jason Jennings joins us on one of these great days in sports. Jason, thanks for your time with Paul, and I'm David Smoak. What was opening day for a guy that lived it for a decade? What is that like?
Well, first off, thanks for having me. It's always great to talk to you guys and my Waco family, my Baylor family. But as far as opening day, I mean, it's a fresh start. No matter how bad of a year personally or as a team you had the previous year, there's always that fresh hope that, you know, new optimism, fans are optimistic, new unis, new everything. It's just a chance to reset and regroup and give it another shot.
Jason, what do you think about this new look pitch clocks and no timeout or less calling time and stepping out of the box and mound visits heavily regulated? How would you have navigated all this?
At first I'm an old school traditional type guy, and not too open to change a lot of times. But so I think initially I was like, what are we doing? We're turning this into a clown show with clocks and bigger bases and whatnot. But as I kind of watched some of the spring training games, and it keeps a better pace. Not as much of the look at me stuff, stepping out of the box, fixing your bat and glove 17 times, and making sure everybody sees, that you're hitting. So I'm a big fan. Like, get in the box and let's go. Fans, if they're committed and they want to go to a game, they're going to pay the money. They're going to stay for 2 hours and 45 minutes or 3 hours, whatever the time may be. But some of these games were getting a little ridiculous with all the, just the in-between pitch time and pitchers walking around the mound, hitters stepping out of the box, the 3-0 count, and they're stepping out of the box and adjusting their bat and gloves. It's just a little bit of silliness that was going on. So, I think it's going to clean up the game a little bit and give the fans, more action more often. And, that's what they pay to see.
Isn't it, at least so far, the evidence in during the I guess you call exhibition season, is that it was almost a half an hour shorter? Would that, for a pitcher, not make it more crisp and keep you more even focused and engaged in the game?
Absolutely. And that, that's something I always thought about, and the kids I work with. I mean, as a pitcher, the faster pace, the more strikes you throw, the more action, you can keep going. The better defense you get behind you, because those defenders, they don't want to stand out there either. And, 2 minutes in between, each ball in play, or, 30 seconds in between each pitch, they get bored and their minds start to wander. So the more efficient pace, the more strikes you throw, the less time in between pitches, the more engaged your defense is going to stay. And I think the better defense you're going to see.
What did you think about eliminating the shift?
I didn't mind it. Those were getting a little silly as well. You had shortstops playing in right center and second baseman's playing right field, and right fielders in the third row in right field. They were getting a little granted, these are the best hitters on earth, so yeah, they should be able to let the ball travel a little deeper and, shoot it the other way to defeat that shift. But that takes away from, what some of these guys are really, really good at and what the fans pay to see. And, I don't, when I was playing, we'd shade the shortstop almost up the middle, shade the second baseman way deep in the 4-hole. And, that's still kind of playing a little bit of that mind game, playing some, using your scouting reports and trying to put our guys in the best position possible. But it was getting a little crazy. So this is kind of going to take us back to more traditional baseball and put guys where they're supposed to be and, play the game the way it was meant to be played.
I know somebody would never have used a shift against Tony Gwynn or Rod Carew. I know that's old school, but, they would have hit 500, not almost 400, had they moved around, because they could shoot it anywhere. What about the pickoff move? You get two, that's it. And you have somebody over there that's getting in your head a little bit, or somebody probably will run and needs to run. How would you have to kind of have that on your mind a little bit more?
Yeah, I think so. And, I think that change, as well as the bases, granted, not much of a change in the size of the base, but that's going to encourage some more stolen bases, which I think is an exciting part of the game. And, the Ricky Henderson type player, those really don't exist too much anymore. And those guys are fun to watch. And, there's some of the best athletes in the world, playing in MLB, and you want to see them use their legs and not go base to base, with balls in play, but make some stuff happen with, more bunts, more steals, more hitting runs. And that's always stuff I enjoyed, not necessarily it being used against me when I was on the mound, obviously, but just as a fan of the game, you like to see that stuff.
Jason, I may have asked you this the last time we had you on about Shohei Ohtani, but you were a pitcher who is a good hitter, but he is great at both. And how does he have the time? Like, that's what I can't wrap my head around, based on how everybody else has to spend their time and focus on their skills in Major League Baseball. How does he have the time to work on both?
I don't really think you do. You don't have the time that, an everyday position player puts in the cages and watching the film and whatnot. There's no way he has that much time. I think he's just that talented. Because, I mean, I could do both in college, but the farther and farther I got away from college, the harder and harder hitting got because I didn't do it every day. You know, I took BP and, you know, we took pitchers BP, but we're just jacking around trying to hit bombs before the game. We're not really working on our swings. And, but, you know, you hit once every 5 days when I pitched, and it's hard to do. So I think it just, you know, it's a testament to how talented he truly is that he is elite at, you know, on the mound and in the batter's box. And there's no way he has time to train for either one of those like a normal everyday pitcher or everyday hitter would. So it's just, I think it's more of a tip of cap to him, just that he's that special.
What were your thoughts, and did you watch much of the World Baseball Classic? Because I found myself tuned in. Puerto Rico and the Dominican, I think it was, or Mexico, and then, of course, the Japan-United States final.
No, I absolutely. I mean, you know, feasibly, it'd probably take some of the glitz and glamour away, but I wouldn't mind seeing it every year. I love it. I think it's, having been there myself, I played on the national team my freshman and sophomore years at Baylor in the summertime, and Smitty was a coach one of my years, and you put that USA on your chest, and there's a switch that flips, and it's a different feel. You're not necessarily, you know, you're not playing for the Rockies or for the Baylor Bears. You're playing for your country, and you know, it's 330 some odd million of us, and you feel like everybody's rooting for you. Especially, you know, you play against a team that you got history with, not only on the field but off the field, and it's a big deal, and you don't realize it until you're out there doing it. And so I still have those same feelings of, you know, of pride for our country and having done it and rooting for the, you know, our guys. They gave it a good run as a talented group, but you know, Japan's pretty special too. They got some great players.
Is this, I mean, you played in a really good era, but are we sitting in an era that if baseball does it right, they can really take some steps forward? Because there are some really fun, marketable stars in this game spread all over the league. It's not just concentrated, you know, they're not all playing for the Yankees or the Dodgers. There is a lot of guys all over the place that are really good right now.
Yeah, I think, you know, we have some of the MLB guys that train up at our facility and they hit here in the off season. So I talk to them off and on throughout the off season, and just to, you know, from a hitters, most of these guys are hitters, and they're speaking of the pitchers these days and just the pure stuff, the talent. These guys, I'm throwing 90-mile-an-hour sliders that look like curveballs, and it's just, I mean, these guys are kind of built different than the guys were when I played. Not that, you know, we didn't have talented guys in my era. It's a different game. Just the pure talent, pure skill of these guys is exciting to watch. So I think, to your point, MLB implementing a few changes that gives the fans more of an opportunity to see these guys in action and not sit there and watch, you know, 200 hitters try to go 1 for 5 and hit 1 home run and strike out 4 times. That's not good baseball to me. And that's kind of what I was seeing, you know, these past few seasons. So I'm hoping, these changes that have been implemented will, you know, speed up the game, not in a bad way, but just a more action-packed way, and you know, allow these guys to be able to show the talent they do have.
Jason, I don't know this for sure. How long from the time you were drafted out of Baylor until you actually were in Major League? Did you go pretty much straight to it, or did you have to spend a year or two in the minor league system?
Yeah, it was right at 2 years. So I got drafted in, I guess it was June of 99, and then went to, I made all the stops. I hit every single level. So it was a crazy, you know, I guess it was about 18 months or so. Well, almost 2 years.
I bring that up because last night it was reported that baseball, for the first time ever, has a collective bargaining agreement now with the minor leagues, and everyone's salaries are going to almost double, and in some cases even 4 times as much as it was.
Well, and I think that's awesome, because my first minor league check was $300. I mean, I had teammates that were rooming 5-6 guys in an apartment just to be able to afford to live, and I call it living. We had guys heating up hot dogs on the road in the hotel microwave to save their meal money. So I mean, it was a little ridiculous. I was fortunate. I was a little different situation, you know, with the opportunity I was given coming out of Baylor. But, you know, some of the guys I loved and my, you know, great teammates and great friends were in it was a tough situation, and it's no way to live. It's no way to try to have a family. I mean, it's almost impossible to have a family in the minor leagues. So I think it's great. The amount of money these big league guys are getting, we can transfer a little bit of that down to the minor league guys and take care of them a little bit better.
That's awesome, and get the perspective you got. You were obviously very highly thought of coming out of Baylor, but even if you had a little extra, but $300 is your first check, and even the way that I think the cost of living and perhaps even wherever they stay has changed just a little bit too, which is good because those stories to come out that were really almost like, what? That's it? And why would you not protect your future or at least take care of your future, right?
I agree. And that, these owners and these teams, they make their money off the big boys up top and with the TV deals and, the fans coming to these games. But that the minor leagues, that's kind of where, those stars, that's where they got to start. They're kind of born there and they progress up to the big stage. But like you said, you got to protect them. You got to take care of those guys because, while they don't make you as much money as the big boys do, they're just as important to your organization as a whole and to the future of your organization for sure.
If in fact on the road or when you were at home and you were a minor league player, what was your favorite go-to meal? Was it ramen noodles? Was it Spam? Double burger from McDonald's? Whoever?
If I could get a fresh loaf of bread and some PB&J, and for a treat, maybe even slice up a banana and put it on it. That was like having a steak at Bob's. That was gourmet.
Well, I gotta admit something to you, and obviously I don't know when they came out, but the other day, this has been what, Paul, now like a couple months ago?
Yeah.
Playing with a guy from Chicago who's become a friend of mine. We play golf together. And he had these peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. He goes, hey, I got a couple of PB&J. And I was like, that's great. I thought he made them. They were the Uncrustables. Have you ever had those before?
I have, and they're, it's a shame that they can call themselves PB&J because that's just it. I don't even consider those things PB&Js. If you don't have a knife and you can't like clean off the knife after you spread it on the bread and it's not PB&J.
See,
it's not.
That's where baseball players are different. When you're a baseball player, you appreciate the process, right? Because
oh my God,
you do. Look, I'm telling
Absolutely.
you, they're different. Like baseball players, they have to appreciate the process.
Yeah.
It's not, you don't, especially a pitcher. You've got to you're not going to strike everybody out. You're not going to you're going to have to work out of some jams.
You got to nibble around the plate to some of the guys.
No, I get this.
There's decisions got to be made. You cut the crust off. You cut it in the triangle. You cut it in the squares. Like what?
I love it. Did you hear about Charles Barkley bringing up Uncrustables the other day during one of the in-between games a couple of weekends ago, saying it? What did he say, Paul?
He's like, Uncrustables is the best food ever. Love
it. Leave Charles. Yeah.
All right, Mitch Thompson. Everyone knew this is going to be a big-time rebuild. And not that Baylor was in bad shape, but when he took over, it was going to be done his way. He's going to get the talent. We know he can recruit. They've had some nice wins, but they also have been on the other side of getting bludgeoned a little bit. Have you stayed in touch with him? Have you talked to him? And even if you haven't, your thoughts about what he's trying to do this first year?
I have. I've sent him a couple texts here and there. I try to stay in my lane and let him do his thing. I know I firmly believe he's the right guy and he's got the right people in place. And, it's going to be a marathon, not a sprint. It's not something that's going to happen overnight. I think Mitch has kind of spoken to it in chapters. And this first chapter, it's going to have some pages you enjoy and pages you don't. And I think we've seen both of those so far this year. But, even the first game I watched the other night on TV against Okie State, just the energy, the effort, even though they lost that game, it was different. Mm-hmm. And it was a different feel, a different team that I felt like I was watching than I have the past couple of years. So that was encouraging for me. Okie State's a good team, so you don't expect to go to Stillwater and take a series from those guys. And they were right in that first game against the top 20 team. So they're knocking at the door. They'll get there. It's just, fans going to have to show a little bit of patience. And, my freshman year, we weren't even hardly even ranked. I don't think ever the whole year. We didn't even make a regional. So, it's a process, and he'll get it there. I promise.
Last thing, you made your major league debut in August of 2001, and of course, in that game, you shut out the Mets, hit a home run. Could it ever? I mean, was it like almost not too easy for you because you had to get to that point? But what was that like? What was that like to soak all that in?
It was obviously a dream come true. Just getting to the top level and being able to. I mean, if nothing else, just say, hey, I played in the big leagues, and at that point, I had no idea how long it was going to last, and I just wanted to, like you said, soak it all in. And it just, I wanted to throw out a good game, a quality start, 6 innings, couple runs, give my team a chance to win. And as the game progressed, we put up a big lead early, and I had some good stuff that night. And I realized shortly after the first batter of the game, actually, when Larry Walker hosed somebody at second, I was like, man, these guys are really, really good. So let me just throw some strikes. If they hit it, I got the best defense, on earth behind me. And that just helped me relax. And as we progressed along and we were winning, and I had my low enough pitch count to stay in the game the 9th inning, led off the 9th inning just thinking, hey, let me try to get another hit. This would be cool. And I just absolutely came unglued on the first pitch I saw and was able to make good enough contact. And
there it goes.
Yeah, there it goes. And the rest is history. And I set the bar way too high because the next start I was like, crap, if I give up a run, people are going to think I'm terrible. So I think while it was a great memory, I was like, man, it's not this easy. So I got to keep myself in check. And 2 starts later, Barry Bonds reminded me that it wasn't that easy.
As he did 770 or whatever it was.
No doubt. I was one of his 73 that year.
Oh my
man,
Lord! Okay.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
But you mentioned Larry Walker though.
Yeah.
Larry Walker didn't get talked about, in my opinion, enough from that era of guys. He was everything, and he, like you said, gunning down a guy at second base, that was completely second nature to him. He was an excellent right fielder.
Absolutely. And the thing that I tell everybody, and nobody ever thinks this about Larry, he's 6'3", probably played at 235, 240. Best base runner I've ever played with. I mean, just instincts, going first to third. It was just everything he did looked so easy. And having played the game, it's not that easy. But he could roll out of bed and hit 330. And if you put him on the mound, he'd probably low to mid-90s. But he's the type of guy that could take a bottle cap and say, hey, I'm going to throw it in this trash can 100 feet away, and he'd bounce it off the wall. And it's like the Larry Bird, Michael Jordan commercials back in the day. It was like off the scoreboard, off the trash can, nothing but net, and that's Larry. He just, everything he did was natural and just a pure athlete. He always claimed he was a hockey player, but I thought he was pretty good at baseball too.
Yeah, I could see him being a hockey guy as well. You still are running. You own Pastime Training Center, and that's in Frisco, correct? You want to kind of give everybody a little bit of, I mean, if you want to get some kind of instruction, or you never know, with Jason Jennings, and PastimeTrainingCenter.com is the website, but give everyone an idea of what you're doing.
Yeah, it was just a way for me to stay in the game. We opened about 10 years ago, and I had a couple offers to go coach professionally back with the Rockies, and just, I was kind of done with that. I didn't want to get back on a bus and be away from my family anymore. So it was a good way to stay in the game and kind of give back to that next generation of kids coming up. And we're the home of the Dallas Tigers teams in this North region up here. So we kind of house them. And but not only the Tigers teams, but we train outside kids as well and have cages to rent. We have hitting, pitching, catching, softball, baseball. So we got a little bit of everything. Got a little outdoor turf field that we use to do some camps and lessons and whatnot. So it's a fun little deal. And I'm still doing a few lessons here and there, mainly with kind of the high school, college type kids. But no, it's been great, and it keeps me engaged with the community here, and keeps me engaged with kind of the up and coming youth and high school players.
Jason, great stuff. We appreciate you very much. The history of your baseball career, college, and also Major League, what you're doing at Pastime Training Center, and just your insight and opinions on what's going on with baseball. Thank you very much. Have a great day.
All right, guys. Anytime. Thanks so much.
Jason Jennings, to be able to have, I love baseball. And, I was of that generation where baseball was it. That, people played basketball, and they also played football, and I did all that in high school. That was great. But I always wanted to play baseball, and I did in high school. And I remember getting some sort of a letter or something. I forgot. It was like from Belleville Community College. And my dad said, you go do whatever you want. And they didn't have a scholarship, but they just wanted me to. So I went to Tyler Junior College and was going to go there just as a student. And they had a baseball, but they weren't a full-fledged team. They had pretty much dropped it. So I said, okay, but they had a club team, and it was a good one, and they played good people. And I'll never forget going out for it. And I'm at third base. That's where I could pick it at third. I was not a very good hitter, which means I was not very good then. But I could play some defense. And the first practice, I was fantastic. I really was. The second practice, I got caught up with a little beer party the night, with the guys. It wasn't the beer. I wasn't hungover, but they wanted me. I was like, what's this dip stuff?
Oh.
Well, you know where this is going.
You got sick.
Oh, my God. I used to have the largest – you've seen me with gum in my mouth. I put in, 15 or 20 pieces. One of the things that Dr. Steve Childress, I'm about to do a commercial for him, told me to cut that out. But I would have this big, huge wad of gum, double bubble, whatever. So I'm thinking, okay, that sounds pretty cool. In the second practice, I put dip in my lip, and I was stoned out of my mind. Like, I now know how you and Emery and Garrett feel every day because I was just... Every day. Yeah, no. I was wobbly as hell.
Enjoy it every day. Good. Save it for some special occasions.
So I survived that, but it was when I went to Stephen F. Austin and I was going to do a walk-on tryout there, and their baseball team was kind of trying to make itself back. And I saw a real curveball, and it just buckled my knee so badly. I was done. I said, I can't play this game. I'm going to go talk about it and cover it. And that's how I then decided, I guess I should be a broadcaster.
Yeah, so I have a dip story that's very funny. So my best friend from high school, Billy, he was one of the best. He was on our 4x100 team or 4x200 team. And they won like a track meet, just like not like a region, like it was, one of those like 1-to-1, like go to this school and that. And they were on the bus, and like I didn't go to that one, but I was there. And like he said, hey, if you're still doing whatever, maybe it was like some other sport I was maybe announcing, I was doing PA for. If you're still there, like come, we'll go get like food after I get back from this track meet. Well, on the way back, another guy who we played football with and ran track was a big Copenhagen user and said, hey, I have a victory dip. So you were on the 4x2. You have to have the victory dip with me. And
oh God,
I see the baseball game's ending. I walk down and I go and I see the bus and I watch everybody from the track team come off, and then except the coach and Billy. And Billy and the coach thankfully didn't know or didn't care, but within 2.5 minutes of having it in his lip,
throwing up,
he was in the bathroom in the bus, like just chucking his guts out. And he's like, that's it. I'm not
no, I've never had it again. I've never again. I smoke cigars, but of course don't inhale them.
What was like the old story of like if your dad caught you smoking, he would like make you smoke a whole pack, and then you wouldn't do it anymore. Like
that's another story.
His it lasted 2 minutes.
Yeah, good for him. He learned quickly, like I did, except I had to go to practice after that, and I couldn't see anything. When we come back, Mickey Spagnola off today. He's on vacation. Craig is at football practice. Got some stuff going on in the chat room. Love to hear your thoughts on that. DeGrom, by the way, did not get out of the third inning, gave up 5 runs. The Phillies lead that game. But we've got some pretty good stories in the chat room. We'll get to that. Any questions you have that you want us, if there's a question you have right now, when we come back about whatever topic it is, when it's college athletics or whoever it might be about, and even some of what we've discussed today, we will try to give you our perspective and even get yours. 254-339-1122 is the text line. And this is 365 Sports. Stonewood Dental, speaking of that, can you imagine the dentist who has to visit with people who do the dip or whatever? Waco General and Cosmetic Dentistry. Comfort is a priority, and it should be at a dentist because, for the most part, a lot of people are just afraid to go to them. Well, I used to be because I didn't take care of my teeth, my dental work as much as I should have. But at the same time, I then met Dr. Steve Childress. Dr. Steve Childress has taught me not only how to make sure I'm truly maintaining my dental work, but also he's just damn good at what he does. He's elite at what he does. Dr. Steve Childress has other dentists inside Stonewood Dental in Robinson, 5 dentists, 11 hygienists, and also a support staff that you cannot imagine. For example, the other day I called them to get an appointment. Went through and told them a little bit. I got a tooth in the back right corner that I think might have been cracked because I bit into one of those mints. And I said, like, man, it doesn't hurt me, but I can tell that maybe there's something that popped off a little bit. No pain. And the woman on the line was phenomenal at setting up the appointment. As soon as I hung up the phone, my phone had a text message reminded me of my appointment, and it's a few weeks away. And then I'll get another one about a week out. Then I'll get another one during the weekend before. And then I'll get another one the day of. They're amazing. Their customer support and making sure you're good, making sure you're comfortable, and making sure your dental work is flawless. And if it's not, they're going to fix it and find a way and help you understand why. Stonewood Dental with Dr. Steve Childress. I consider him a great friend in Robinson, Texas.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine, Lakeshore Drive, North 19th Street, right behind the bank, is a hidden gem in Waco. If you're a fan of bourbon, especially local Texas bourbons, that's where you gotta go. Balcones, TX, Devil's River, whatever it is, they've got it. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, plus the best selection of craft beers in Waco, seasonally churned out throughout the year. Whether it's spring, summer, fall, or winter, Riverbend Liquor and Wine, best selection of craft beers, a speedy drive-through window, and excellent customer service. Find out more on Instagram or just go by and see them. Lakeshore Drive at North 19th Street behind the bank.
How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? By not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference. And that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Don Humidor, your home with a 48-foot walk-in humidor with the elite cigar brands from around the world, including the #1 cigar of the year, Aging Room Cuatro Nicaragua. Plus, they have the great brands like Macanudo and Artur Fuente, Rocky Patel, Aston, and so much more. CBD, great for sore muscles, aches and pains, sleep, Vita Dreams, and anxiety, mild depression, general health and wellness. Their staff very knowledgeable on the subject. If anyone is curious about CBD, ask Carol and Ashley. Don Humidor in the Townwest Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco.
Shorty's Pizza Shack at 12th and Bagby is a homegrown, locally owned pizza place that's out of this world. Everything from the dough, the sauce, the sausage topping is made fresh in-house. Not to mention the amazing pizza pillows, the chicken wings are to die for. Try the Sikkim sauce, chili cheese fries or tots, plus great specials on food and drink every single day. Shorty's is also the perfect spot to watch the game with your friends. Shorty's Pizza Shack at 12th and Bagby. Tell them Paul sent you by.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jeweler, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store and more.
This is 365 Sports. Are you a Sikkim 365 super fan? Then try out our premium subscriptions at Sikkim365.com.
All right, the chat room. Smokey Bear is now a part of the chat room. I don't know if this is about what portion of the show did they start talking about it? I don't know. Oh, Mary Jane, Paul and Garrett and Emery. I mentioned one time dipping. I had dip trying out for a baseball team. First time I'd ever had it, and I couldn't even see the ball. And I played third base, and that's not a good position. You know, because you could be in the outfield, you have a little more time. Mm-hmm. But at third base, it's pop, it's there. And I was like wobbly, absolutely wobbly. There's a lot of different stories. From retired stockbroker, my Temple grandfather gave me some Red Man when I was about 5. He asked me 3 minutes later why I wasn't spitting. I said, "You didn't teach me that." Remember, there were commercials for obviously Marlboro, Winston, whatever, but there were also commercials, Earl Campbell. Just a little pinch between my cheek and gum.
You know, the cigarette commercials went away when I was pretty young. Like, I don't really even remember them that much.
How long do you think it was? In the late 70s, early 80s?
It was in the early 80s that they went away. And then, because it's one of those things that I remember, like, reading about, like, they would tell us about it in school. And even then, it's kind of obvious what they were doing. But now as I'm older and look back, like, I just would have loved to have been a fly on the wall in the court when they're saying, look, these ads are targeted towards children. And they're like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
It's a cartoon camel, man. Like, what 40-year-old guy is going to be like, that's hilarious?
Yeah.
No.
They would even do like the Flintstones with the Winstons and stuff.
Yeah.
T-Duck, by the way, in the chat room, are we talking baseball? Yeah, it's opening day. So we had a former Baylor and Major League pitcher to kind of discuss. To me, it's one of the great openings of any sport. You could always say the opening set, really, because college football now has those games early. Like last year, Northwestern and Nebraska played in Dublin. Florida State's going to do that in about a year. And so there really isn't now an opening day. You have a couple of games. In football, the NFL now has even Thursday night games, which is technically the opening night of the NFL season. It's the first Sunday's a big deal. College football, again, there's not an opening day. It's kind of, high school football in Texas, it's the first Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Technically, I guess you could say that's a great opening. Usually at the end of August is now when they open up what is called non-district games. Hockey, NBA, they all have opening days, nights, whatever. But Major League Baseball, to me, has just got a little bit of tradition to it. And you mentioned this to Jason Jennings, and Ohtani and the names, Soto. Who's the guy that got hurt for the Padres last year?
Tatis. Fernando Tatis.
Tatis.
Suspended, too.
Yeah. I mean, there are – we discussed this last year during the postseason, and the Astros won the World Series. I'm not saying that there are more stars now than ever, because there have been years when you've had numerous Hall of Famers still playing. But I think there's probably more young stars. And I don't have proof of that, but it just seems that way to me on that. I met an Army guy that was so poor, talking about minor league baseball players. and Jason Jennings talking about PB&J, the trill, you have to have the knife or doesn't count. Spam, ramen noodles. I met an Army guy that was so poor he used to steal ketchup packs from fast food places and then took them home to boil with water to have tomato soup. He became a lot more successful, and he put up dollar signs than me. Hey, that's pretty creative. I never would have thought about
resourceful.
that. Yeah.
You know what? If I was in the Army, that's I want to make sure that guy's in the unit with me, right?
Yeah. No, yeah.
So when something goes down, he can MacGyver us away out of something. Yeah.
Kim Colty, my brother and I were kids, ate mustard sandwiches. I've heard of that.
I've eaten mustard sandwiches.
They're
pretty good.
I think I've done that probably a little bit. Of course, the ramen noodles immediately takes me back to my life when we lived in Japan for 4 years, because you'd go off the base, you go to Air Force Base or Kanamura, and you'd go off the base, and there were restaurants and places that were selling, merchandise, whatever. And I mean, that was the real deal. That was, and I'm telling you, those packs of ramen noodles are legit. They really are. The sauce and everything's very legit, except you could also add to it if you want, put some vegetables in it, maybe some pork or whatever. And then even if you want a little bit of cheese. So there's that.
Hold up. Cheese and ramen noodles?
Yeah, no, you don't put it in it, but you could put it on top of the ramen noodles.
I don't know, Smokey.
I'm
telling you about what they did in Japan. I mean, this is from the place that invented it.
Yeah, now it's weird to me that ramen is now a popular thing you can go and get and pay a lot of money for.
Yes.
When you have it in your youth, you have it because you can buy it in bulk for $20 and get 300 of them. You have so much, you're always going to have that, there. And then, now I'm 42, almost 43, and I go to a restaurant and see fancy ramen on the menu for $22. And I'm like, what?
Yeah. No.
What? Where's the world gone here?
Yeah. No, I'm going to send you a recipe with cheese and ramen noodles.
I'm not doing cheese.
And it's not macaroni and cheese. You don't like cheese?
I had a bad incident with cheese. I went to McDonald's one time and got a burger, and I wanted it with just mayonnaise, pickles, and cheese on it, and I guess they took it too literal and just put mayonnaise and cheese. So when I bit into it, that's what it was, and it made me sick.
I'm
and
surprised
I cannot. Yeah,
that didn't tie you up for a few months.
Yeah.
From Kealani, Paul Catalina, who is your ramen guy? I can get you a better one.
No, I'm just think of a higher end Asian. Yes, I need a better deal on the bulk or the one that's fancy $22 or whatever it was.
Well, that's because there's so many now Asian-style restaurants that seem like more now than ever before because it's great food.
Hit me up, Carolina, though. I would, if you got a good one, I'll do it.
The retired stockbroker, if you had cheese for ramen, it's R-A-M-E-N. Stockbroker, you have to start spelling that right. It's not I-N. It's driving me crazy. Then you were rich and didn't need the ramen. No. Believe me, that's not the case. 4:46 is the time. So Kansas's women, Paul sent me this note last night. The Kansas women, and here we are focused on the NIT tonight, North Texas and UAB. And with that, speaking of which, Grant McCaslin, it appears as if this would be his last game at North Texas. That's kind of how it all leans. And they're trying to win the NIT. We had Grant on yesterday. One of his assistants and one of the guys is a defensive specialist for him. I know him, too. His name is Ross Hodge, who could be the next coach if McCaslin does go. He was a coach at, I think it was Midland. I think McCaslin had been there, too. But also, he was the head coach at Paris Junior College in basketball. And I did JUCO games in East Texas, Tyler, Trinity Valley, and all those schools for a long, long time in Paris. Ross Hodge, who's now with McCaslin at North Texas, is a hell of a coach. North Texas will be good. No question. But obviously, Grant McCaslin has made them. Someone put up the other day that he might be the best coach to ever come out of North Texas as far as success. And there weren't a lot of people arguing with whoever had put that up at the particular time. Let's break here, 4:48. We do have today at 5 o'clock, we will have Rocco Miller, one of Paul's relatives, Fieldofsixty8.com on the NCAA weekend, the Final Four, some of the storylines there. And this is 365 Sports. Marco's Pizza. Pizza lovers get it. Marco's Pizza, they can deliver. You can pick it up. You can order online. You can call them with whatever the best pizza you like, which one you want to devour. And they have more than pizza. They've got sandwiches, salads, and they have soft drinks and more, and they have pizza bowls. But when we get Marco's delivered here to the studio, go online. It's very simple. I order a couple of different pizzas, thin crust. One of them's all meat, and the other one, sometimes they're both all meat. And then I think maybe every once in a while it might be pepperoni with chicken or pepperoni with Italian sausage. It's a delicious pizza. In Waco, there wasn't one just a few years ago. Now there are 5 because Bob Mock, who's been in the pizza business for, 2-3 decades, opened up the first Marco's, at least here in Waco. And now there are 5. And there was 3 opened up, it seemed like, in a matter of just 6 months to a year. It's China Spring, Belmead, Hewitt, Woodway, and Robinson. Marco's Pizza, Marcos.com. Pizza lovers get it.
Pizza, burgers, and Bears football. There's no place around Waco that serves them all other than Bubba's 33. Come show your green and gold and enjoy some of Waco's best food and beverages while watching your favorite team, the Bears. When real Bears fans get hungry, Bubba's 33 is the #1 spot for ice-cold drinks, hand-stretched, stone-baked pizzas, and bacon-infused burgers. Join us for indoor or patio dining. Bubba's 33, Waco's restaurant and proud supporter of Baylor Bears football. Sick 'em, Bears.
You want to know why Stonewood Dental is so successful? Listen to what happy customers have to say.
It's pleasant. It's different than any other dentist office. I really feel like they care. And it's not that you're here for 2 hours waiting on someone to take care of you. It's quick and easy, and I bring my kids, and my kids love being here too. They really love the treasure box. Staff is really nice and accommodating, real friendly. You feel more like home. It's not sterile looking. Everybody has their own personalized rooms with decorations and decor, and they'll even have a blanket for you when it's cold. I've recommended people to actually come here, and they are patients now. I really love it here. It feels like family.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Waco Custom Marketplace is your hometown grocery store with a full-service butcher shop and bakery. Hi, this is David Smoak. The butcher shop can take your customized orders for seafood, pork, and poultry and custom cut your favorite steaks from bacon-wrapped fillets to T-bone to bone-in ribeyes. Cut specifically the way you want. They have Norwegian salmon fillets, catfish fillets, sliced ham or turkey and lunch meat, variety of cheese available, and several options of sausage links, fresh chicken breast or whole chickens, sliced bacon, pork chops, ground beef, marinated beef, and chicken fajitas, and always large briskets available, plus fresh vegetables. So the great product, customer service, and family tradition of the Bauer family continues at Waco Custom Marketplace, open Monday through Saturday. A full-service butcher shop and bakery available. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm, welcome home.
This is 365 Sports, powered by Sikkim365.com. Enjoying the show? Hit the like button and subscribe.
Couple of notes. Baseball opening day, there was a Big 12 sent out an email of each school that has baseball, Iowa State does not, having players in or on opening day rosters. Baylor with Shea Langoliers with Oakland, and Max Muncy, of course, who has had a really nice run with the Dodgers playing third base. Let's go down, let's say Oklahoma State, Andrew Haney, pitcher for Texas Rangers. TCU, Tyler Alexander with Detroit, Matt Carpenter with San Diego, and 2 pitchers for Cincinnati, Lodolo and Alex Young. UT with 3, Brandon Belt, who's from Hudson High School, I think, in Lufkin, just outside of Lufkin, with Toronto. I think that's where he played high school ball. John Curtis with the Mets. Hobie Milner, pitcher from Milwaukee. Texas Tech. Danny Colon, Baltimore. Josh Young, third baseman with the Rangers. And Parker Mashinsky, a pitcher for the world champion Astros. West Virginia's got somebody. KU, Kansas State. Each has 1. Oklahoma, 3.
I'm trying to think of who's the most.
John Gray, pitcher for the Rangers, one of them.
The most accomplished is probably Max Muncy because he's got a ring.
Yeah,
and some All-Star games and.
Yeah, there's of course they've got some of these guys that look like they could be. West Virginia, Alec Manoah with Toronto, and John Means, who's on the injured list, pitcher for Baltimore. There aren't. Yeah, Muncy has to be. I would think Muncy has to be. And
I mean, John Gray's really has had some good stretches. Haney's kind of good now. I mean, but they haven't done it. Matt Carpenter has been around.
Holy moly!
Yeah,
the Rangers lead 9-5. After DeGrom got knocked out, they scored 9 runs, and they're not done in the bottom of the 5th inning. Are you kidding me? Somebody had to hit a grand slam, right?
No.
Nope. They're just nickel and dime. What, 3-run homer from Grossman? Heard a lot about him. Guy that has a good eye, walks a lot. The Rangers have a 9 spot in the bottom of the 5th right now. Now they're going to the top of the 5th, 9 runs in the bottom of the 4th. And they hammered Nola and Soto. And the Rangers now lead 9-5 in the 5th. Astros play White Sox tonight at 6 o'clock. One other quick note. I thought this was intriguing, and it surprised me. You know, yesterday we had a little bit of a couple of minutes we discussed the billboard in Waco with LSU women's basketball. Terry Morin was named the Associated Press Women's Basketball Coach of the Year. I bring this up for this reason. She received 12 votes out of 28. All right? National media panel. South Carolina's Dawn Staley had 8 votes. So now you're talking there's 20 of the 28. Utah's Lynn Roberts had 5. And Virginia Tech, they're in this Final Four. They're playing LSU with Kenny Brooks had 3. Garrett, you cover Baylor. I'm not asking about Nikki Collin. I think last year she got a vote or 2. Are you surprised at least that Kim did not get anything here among the 28?
I don't know that I'm necessarily surprised. I think there's a lot to build on. I expect her to be in the mix next year. But I think there was kind of too much going on this season. Some of the obstacles, things that were out of their control to throw them in the mix. But I wouldn't be surprised next year.
30-plus wins are in the Final Four. But, Paul, had you voted for the Women's Coach of the Year? Who would you have voted for?
Dawn Staley.
Okay. But in Indiana, they got knocked out early. In fact, that was one of the teams that I think that was going to play maybe LSU in the Elite Eight. But so there's Terry Moore in Indiana has been named the Women's Basketball Coach of the Year by the Associated Press. I received a direct message from a Kansas State and Kansas. He's a dual alum on many things when it comes to the Pac-12 and the Big 12 and some of the schools and this and that. We're going to discuss that around 5:20 or so today. But coming up next, Rocco Miller on the Final Four from the Field of 68.com. Pioneer Steel and Pipe. What a great business. Been in business since 1943, and they're not going anywhere. In fact, they, back in December, moved into their brand new facility. They specialize in metal, steel, and pipe. They are absolutely amazing at helping people, maybe you or businesses who want to, construct a metal building. They have moved into a brand new location on Loop 340 on the eastern side of 35 in Waco. Been in business since 1943. They are truly amazing. And they were already really good. Now they're bigger, better, faster, and stronger. They now can distribute what they have even quicker and more efficiently, and they were already good at that. They now also have enough room where they have different, I guess you could say, lengths of the product that they have, so that you don't have to get the product from them and then go get it trimmed or cut. You will have that for you. They will help you with what you haul to where you need to go and even deliver it, because it can be very heavy product, whether it's commercial real estate or you are someone that does a lot of different things, the weekend warrior, so to speak, on the weekends at your home or ranch. Pioneer Steel and Pipe since 1943, pioneerboys.com.
The future's bright, the time is now. College is what you make it. It's a late night pizza run and all-nighters coding a new project. It's having big dreams and making them a reality. It's a professor who knows your name and your story. It's preparation for your future, your calling, your life. And at Baylor, it's even more. Baylor, where lights shine bright.
During Ram Truck Month, get incredible deals on Ram trucks at Allen Samuels in Waco. Come see why Ram continues to win awards year after year. Browse online or come shop the greatest selection of new car and truck inventory in stock today at Allen Samuels in Waco.
Baylor Scott & White Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physicians for Baylor Athletics, diagnosing and treating all sports-related injuries, including concussions. These specialists also provide orthopedic services for athletes and non-athletes alike, whether it's knee or shoulder pain, a wrist injury, orthopedic spine care, and even an arthritis and total joint clinic. Trust the doctors Baylor Athletics trust. Baylor Scott & White Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics wants to get you back in the game.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
Did you know that 1 out of every 4 men have symptomatic low levels of testosterone and don't even know it? And if you think you're too young to worry about it, guess again. Low T levels can make you feel tired and grumpy, cause weight gain, and wreak havoc on your sexual desire and performance. Petty Clinic Low T can set up same-day blood screening and results, so if you're tired of being tired, I challenge you to man up and Google search Low T Waco or go online pettycliniclowt.com. It's a private clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Affordable, only $150 a month, includes lab work, office consultation, testosterone injections, follow-up visits compared to $395 a month in Dallas or Austin, and you don't have to fight the traffic. Petty Clinic Low T as board-certified physician consultations will provide the best form of brand-strength testosterone available. Contact Petty Clinic Low T today, just off Highway 84 and Old Hewitt Drive in Woodway. Petty Clinic Low T, helping men become the high-performance men they deserve to be. PettyClinicLowT.com or Google search Low T Waco.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Cam Heathcott, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why we take the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Cam Heathcott in Conroe at 936-756-7717. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
This is 365 Sports, powered by Sikkim365.com.
The 5 o'clock hour is brought to you by Edward Jones Investments and financial advisor Chuck Verno, who'll navigate you through today's financial climate. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
As I mentioned, Craig is at Baylor football practice. Afterwards, the new running backs coach, A.J. Stewart, will be a part of the media session, and also running backs will be a part of that too. And so he might join us for a little bit between now and the end of the show, but that media session coming up in about an hour. Remember, we had Rocco Miller on the show, thefield68.com. He is in Houston, where everybody basketball is, and he joins us on 365 Sports. Is it just a big basketball fraternity party?
I guess that's a fair accusation or maybe compliment. I'm not sure which, but it kind of turns into that. So during the week here, it's the NABC convention, which is the National Association of Basketball Coaches. It's not just Division I coaches, it's Divisions 2 and 3 and a lot of NAIA. So you really get the entire basketball world on the men's side here throughout the week. And then, of course, Friday, the fans really file in and kind of take over. But for those of us in the business and in the coaching world, it's a great opportunity to connect in one place, and I certainly look forward to it every year.
So, Rocco, we have got the bracket busters' dream of a Final Four here, in that it's two Cinderellas for sure. Miami, who was probably a little bit, if you looked at how good they were in spite of their little losing streak in the year, a little bit understated based on their talent, and then UConn, who's playing as good as anybody right now. Your thoughts, like, when this all came together last week, were you, kind of floored like all the rest of us?
It's been a great ride. I'm thrilled for the two more Cinderella stories, as you mentioned, Florida Atlantic and San Diego State. These are teams that will enter the Final Four with 6 combined trophies. Florida Atlantic won the Conference USA regular season and the tournament championship, and of course the East region in the tournament. And San Diego State did the same thing in the Mountain West, winning the regular season and the conference tournament championship, as well as the South region. And I think there's a lot to be said about teams that can win championships throughout the year, and the amount of togetherness and toughness it takes to do something like that. It's very difficult to predict going in, because sometimes the talent at the higher level in the power conferences is just too much to overcome. But what we saw, first out of Florida Atlantic, I was with them all last week in New York City. I came straight to Houston from New York, and in the Tennessee matchup, they played the number one defense against 3-pointers in the country, and they played one of probably the largest team by height in the United States as well. Tennessee is just so freaking long. And they were coming off a game where they punched Duke in the teeth, right? So, for them to withstand those early blows and only be down by 5 at halftime, and then find a way to make a move with about 10 minutes to go, a 15-2 run in there at one point, and take that game away from Tennessee, it's exactly what Florida Atlantic's been doing all year in Conference USA. But to see them do that against a team like Tennessee, who was a top 5 Ken Pom team all year, didn't win the SEC, but obviously had a lot of success and pounded a lot of good teams, just shows, Florida Atlantic, to me, is the most cohesive team in the country. They have been. It was just a question of, can they, pass these big tests? Beating Memphis at the buzzer in the first round, and, of course, beating Kansas State in an incredible Elite Eight game after that. But I think this matchup coming up against San Diego State will be a lot like that Tennessee game, so I'm very much looking forward to seeing how it plays out. From the San Diego State side of things, they're a team obviously predicated on defense. They have been for the better half of the last decade, or even 2 decades if you go back that far. And the numbers speak for themselves in terms of the amount of points they've allowed against. I think all 4 of their teams are great offenses, even going back to Charleston and Furman in the first 2 games. Then you fast forward to last week, beating arguably the best offense in the country with Alabama, holding them to 3 for 27 from deep, and then taking down Creighton, another potent offense with some NBA talent. Really just shows how good that defense can be, and they don't need a lot of points to win. So just, again, for both of these teams, I think it's just amazing that it was able to hold true against the type of caliber of teams they've needed to beat to get here, and they certainly both belong after proving that they could do it.
Where are you, Rocco, when you hear this? Oh, my God, no one's going to watch the Final Four. We've had a couple of segments where, the ratings or whatever. It's the championship weekend. It's the Final Four. Should it matter who's playing in the game? And aren't Cinderella stories still great?
I think so. I'm not a television ratings expert at all. You might be better off talking to somebody that has expertise there, but I think this has been super exciting. I know that the upset with Fairleigh Dickinson and Purdue was the highest rated first round game, I think, in NCAA tournament history, and that happened in this tournament. So I think people in general are glued to their TVs, regardless of